Hi guys, this is Alex. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be working on McCall's pattern M8217, which is part of McCall's new Summer 2021 spring line, and I'm going to be working on view C. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, so today we are doing McCall's M8217, and I'm doing view C. This is rated easy pattern. The only thing I'm going to caution you with this pattern is there are no finished garment measurements. Well, you do have the back length from the base of the neck, which, okay, that helps a ton, but you really want to know your bust and your waist for this. So since there's no finished garments measurements, not on the back of the envelope or on the tissue on the pattern, you are going to have to use these body measurements, or you can also measure the tissue. And of course, you're going to have to take 5/8 inch allowance from into account and make sure that you measure and that it fits. And if it doesn't, or if you need to extend, then you can go from there. But something to note on this pattern. So again, M8217, I'm doing view C, and let me show you the pieces that we need. We need pattern piece number 1, and this is the front piece, and you're going to cut 1 on the fold. You are also going to need pattern piece number 2, and this is the back, and you are going to cut 1 on the fold. You're also going to need pattern piece number 5, and this is the strap, and you're going to cut 4. And this you don't have to cut, but use piece number 7 as an guide for your elastic. So you are also going to need single fold bias tape. You can buy this at the store or make your own. You're going to need about a package or 2.5 yards. And then you are also going to need a 3/8 inch elastic, and you're going to need 2.5 yards. So go ahead and cut your fabric now. All right, guys, now that you cut your fabric, the pattern asks us to go ahead with right sides together, match your notches at the side, and go ahead and pin. So go ahead and pin both sides and go ahead and stitch 5/8 inch seam allowance. Don't forget the back stitch at the start and at the end. I'm going to go ahead and also finish my edges on the overlocker or your serger. So go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so we are gonna go ahead and stitch again 5/8 inch seam allowance. Don't forget the back stitch at the start and at the end. Okay, guys, so now that we stitch both sides of our front and our back, the pattern is asking us to go ahead and fold and press, and this is going to be 7/8 inch seam allowance. So make sure that you get your sewing gauge out and you measure, and go ahead and do this all the way around for the top piece. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we went ahead and pressed our top piece, we pressed it 2 7/8, right? That's the first one. And then we went ahead and while I was there, I pressed the raw edge in 1/4 inch. So I did that all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch away. So again, make sure that you have your sewing gauge and sew 1/4 inch away from this finished area that you just pressed. So stitch 1/4 inch away and you're going to leave a gap because you need to insert the elastic here. Then you're going to do a second stitch and you're going to do that 1/2 inch away from that lower stitch. So again, one stitch at the top, one stitch at the bottom. You're going to stitch the bottom one 1/4 inch away, and then the next stitch you're going to do 1/2 inch away from the second stitch. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we are going to stitch 1/4 inch away from the edge that we just turned over. I went ahead and put 2 pins because remember, we want to make sure that we leave a gap because we have to insert an elastic on this casing that we're going to make. So again, 1/4 inch away, usually that is almost like the edge of your presser foot. So go ahead and don't forget to back stitch at the start and at the end. Now that we left a gap, I'm going to go ahead, see, we left a little gap. Now I'm going to do another row of stitches above this stitching line that I just had. So go ahead and do that now. So we went ahead and created our casing and we left that gap. Where is my gap? Right here. I left the gap because I want to make sure that I can insert my elastic. So go ahead and grab a safety pin, pin your elastic, and go ahead and insert it and just keep pulling it through. Now that you went ahead and inserted your elastic, this is a great time to try it on, adjust as needed. I went ahead and did that for mine. So now you need to stitch the elastic together. So go ahead and take this to your sewing machine and make sure that the elastic inside is not twisted, that it's all flat inside. So go ahead and do that and then stitch your elastic and make sure that it's flat, that it's not like this, that it's flat, right? So go ahead and stitch your elastic and give it a couple of zigzag stitches. Once you do that, go ahead and close your opening. So go ahead and do that now. So we went ahead and closed our casing. We are going to put the bodice off to the side and we are going to grab these strips. That these are the ones that we tie off. So we're going to go ahead and with right sides together, and you are going to pin. you're going to stitch 5/8 inch seam allowance, and you're going to leave one end open. So go ahead and do that for all 4 pieces. Once you are done with that, you're going to trim the seam allowance and you are going to turn this. So go ahead and do that for all 4 of these pieces at the shoulder. Go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so we went ahead and stitched our shoulder strips, and we went ahead and trimmed them and we turned them over. Remember to leave one end open and make sure that you press these. Super important that you do. So now you're going to grab your bodice, and remember we had those little markings. Let me look for mine. I know it was somewhere around here. Hold on, almost there. All right, it's right there. So you're going to grab your shoulder strap and you are going to put it right there. And then you are going to stitch on top of your stitching line. So I'm going to stitch at the top, and then I'm also going to stitch at the bottom, and then I'm going to trim this. So you want to make sure that you don't stitch over your elastic because you want your elastic to stretch. So again, you want to make sure that you stitch. I'm going to grab a pin to show you. You're going to grab, you are going to pin or stitch up here, and then you're also going to stitch down here. So remember, if you need to stretch the fabric, which you will, do not stitch over your elastic. You want your elastic to stretch. So go ahead and do that for all 4 of your shoulder straps. Go ahead and do that now. So we went ahead and stitched in our shoulder straps, and again I made sure that it is not catching on my elastic because we want the elastic to stretch. So now we're going to grab our bodice, and we are going to grab our bias tape. And again, you can make your own bias tape or you can buy it. I just purchased this. So it says to go ahead, we need to create a casing for our elastic at the waist. And if you look at the tissue, you have a placement line. In my case, it's 7.5 inches away from the raw edge at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my my measuring tape, and 7.5 inches away, it's right there. So I'm going to go ahead and measure all the way around, and I'm going to pin. And again, you want to pin just one side, but I'm going to go ahead and pin it all the way around. Go ahead and keep measuring all the way around. Make sure that you check where is your placement line, and you are going to create 2 rows of stitching. Just like we did at the top, you're going to create a casing to put that elastic. So you need to leave a gap, and I would suggest that you leave a gap at the bottom. So again, stitch as close to the edge as possible, bottom and top, and then leave a gap of about 2 to 3 inches so you can loop in your elastic. So go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so I went ahead and stitched my bias tape at the top. I left a gap in the fabric, and now I'm going to stitch the bottom towards the hem, and I'm going to go all the way around because I just need one end open. All right, so we went ahead and did our casing, and I left an opening. So same way as we did the top, we're going to grab our safety pin, and we are going to loop this through. And of course, make sure that your elastic is straight and it doesn't twist in there. Okay, so again, make sure that your elastic is straight and make sure that you stitch these two together, and then once you do that, then you close your opening. All right guys, now that we got that done, all you have to do is do a hem. I went ahead and did a rolled baby hem, but you can always finish your raw edge. Just turn it 5/8 inch seam allowance and just stitch. So I hope you enjoyed this sew along. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that sew along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Don't forget to tune in next week for my summer pattern haul. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.